I'm just gonna do this. This is the story of Zacchaeus. I love the story of Zacchaeus because it shows us that no matter what limitations you have, nothing can separate you from God. No restriction, no situation can keep you from God if you were seeking Him. And that's exactly what Zacchaeus did. Now, he was short and he couldn't see above the crowd. And there were all kinds of people following Jesus. It was just like a youth soccer team where everybody is just going around the ball and it's just surrounded. So there was no way that he could see Jesus because he was short. Then he thought to himself, you know what? I'm going to climb a tree because I'll get a perfect vantage point. I'll be able to see what Jesus is all about. So that's what he did. He ran ahead. He kind of knew the parade route that Jesus was taking. So he went up in this sycamore tree. And here's the story. It says, he entered Jericho and was passing through. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. And he was seeking to see who Jesus was. But on account of the crowd, he could not, because he was small in stature. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today. So he hurried and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all grumbled. He has gone in to be the guest of a man who is a sinner. And Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. And Jesus said to him, Today salvation has come to this house, for he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Tax collectors got a bad rap in those days because not only would they collect taxes, many times they would add to that, because whatever they would collect above and beyond the tax rate, they would receive as a bonus, as a tip, if you will. So it was their mission to get as much money from people as they could. So that's why people hated them. What was Zacchaeus' solution? Climb up a sycamore tree. Let me get a higher vantage point. Let me climb up this stepladder so I can see Jesus. And it said that he was trying to see Jesus. And what that word means is seeking and searching, like just doing whatever it took to see Jesus because he was curious. And it's interesting because when Jesus came to the tree, Jesus was not oblivious to Zacchaeus. He knew Zacchaeus and he saw him a long way off. And then he comes to the tree, he looks up and says, Zacchaeus, come down, come down. And I can imagine Zacchaeus is like, first of all, how do you know my name? And secondly, why did you decide to look up at this moment and see me? Well, the fact of the matter is that Jesus sought him out. Even though Zacchaeus was seeking and searching and thirsty for Jesus, Jesus was just as desirous to see Zacchaeus as Zacchaeus was to see him. And so when you read that scripture that says Jesus came to seek and save those who are lost, Jesus was seeking Zacchaeus. And so then Jesus looks up and says, hey, we're having dinner tonight at your place. And Zacchaeus is like, cool. So he invites him in and has this feast. And of course, he drew close to Jesus and he essentially received Jesus by welcoming him into his home. He didn't reject Jesus, but of course, the Pharisees, being the amazing people they were grumbling, saying, Jesus is hanging out with sinners. What is going on? But that's who Jesus came to seek and save, is people who the world despised, who the world considered sinners. And so what happened when Zacchaeus invited Jesus into his home? Well, his life was transformed. He said, all the money I have, I will give half to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone, I'm going to restore it fourfold. And Jesus changed his life that very day. The big takeaway is seek Jesus, seek him out. And no matter what limitations you might have, no matter what issues you might have that the world considers less than, or they disregard you because you're not this, or this, come to Jesus. Jesus doesn't care about your limitations. All he cares is that you come to him and that you seek him, and he will seek after you just as hard as you seek after him.